Back in the summer, Alpina marked their 140th anniversary. That might be a bit of a surprise, as for most of us, the brand's only been around since 2002. Kind of. The Alpina name actually stretches all the way back to 1883, and ran for nearly a century before the quartz crisis turned it into a zombie of a brand. It took Peter Stas, the man behind more classical sister watchmaker Frederic Constant, to bring it back to the realms of the living. So, when Alpina did mark their 140th anniversary, they decided to do it in style, with the limited edition reissue of an early 1938 reference. 1938 was a big year for Alpina, as it saw the advent of the Alpina 4, one of the earliest actual Swiss sports watches. That was not the way Alpina went, however, instead opting for something much more Art Deco in the Heritage Carrée Mechanical 140 years. This was also a reissue with a difference, as in the vein of the Fears archival, the watch included a genuine 1938 hand-wound caliber. It was gorgeous, and unfortunately very limited, to just 14 pieces. Now though, Alpina are throwing a bone to those of us that couldn't get hold of the original limited edition, with a pair of non-limited models featuring a similar 1930s look and a modern movement. The new watches are the Heritage Carrée Automatic 140 years. The most obvious feature of the watch is its 32.5 by 39mm rectangular stainless steel case, which is every bit the Art Deco throwback you'd want from an archival reissue. It's the kind of look that the JLC Reverso and Cartier tank have been riffing off for decades, though the Alpina is a good deal larger in almost every dimension. It's also a lot squarer and more fun than elegant. I wouldn't call it sporty, but with its shoulder crown guards and broader look, it's edging there. Thanks to its shape, it feels relatively squat on the wrist, but not too large, and definitely not the svelte dimensions Art Deco's normally linked to. In large part, that's because of the relatively short lugs, which help it work even on my diminutive wrists. It's not just excessively sized either, especially when compared to either of those heavy hitters I mentioned earlier. In fact, it is just £1,295, which is more than competitive. There aren't many watches with this kind of look for that price range, except perhaps the Longines Dolce Vita, and none that pull it off this authentically, right down to the typography. A large part of that authenticity comes from the dial as well, which is defined by concentric rectangles in shades of grey and cream that go from the railroad minute track around the edge all the way down to the small seconds at 6 o'clock. There is a second dial variation in black with a round small seconds that's a lot less overtly Art Deco, which some of the Oracle team prefer. I do not. If you're going for a 1930s aesthetic, do it properly. Beneath the heritage-inspired surface beats an in-house movement. It's the AL530, which has a 4Hz frequency and 38-hour power reserve, making it nice and accurate for a not particularly long time. It's a riff on the Sellita SW200, of course, which is a slight shame, but nothing we haven't seen a million times from brands charging a lot more than Alpina. Finished on a retro ostrich strap in a light brown, the Heritage Carrée Automatic 140 years is a lovely riff on Alpina history, and while it doesn't get the bonus points for an authentic movement, it stacks up aesthetically against the earlier manual wind limited edition. And best of all, it's actually available. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think of Alpina's archival reissue.